In the blue corner, from Mobile, Alabama, with a fighting record of 11 wins, 60 defeats with 9 KOs. Wearing the blue and white trunks, he weighed in this evening at 250 pounds. A big Garden State welcome for Ed Donaldson. His opponent in the red corner, from Starkville, Mississippi. A tremendous ring record of 29 wins, 1 defeat with 20 big knockouts. Wearing the green and white trunks, he weighed in this evening at a ready 220 pounds. Let's greet Keith McKnight. 10 rounds.
Okay, bosses, the both of you was giving you instructions to the dressing room. I expect a good, clean fight. When the bell ring, come out fighting. Touch love.
All right, as referee Eddie Johnson finishes, let me bring up a couple of things here, Harold, and your comments on him. This is the heaviest Keith McKnight has ever been in his pro career, coming in today at 220 pounds, looking somewhat soft. Ed Donaldson coming in at 250, the heaviest he's ever been. Nevertheless, 30-pound weight advantage for Donaldson, and he's going to, McKnight, let's see how well he schleps that extra weight around the ring.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Lonnie. Ed Donaldson is a notorious slow starter. I mean, talking to him, I get the impression that he really doesn't ever throw a punch till the 3rd round. And this could be dangerous with a guy like McKnight, because I'm sure McKnight knows the same thing I do, and he's going to look to whack this guy out early.
All right, well, on the rust quotient situation, Donaldson's last fight and his only fight of '96 was against Michael Grant back in June. He got stopped in 3 rounds, so if he doesn't get started after 3, he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I'm looking. If McKnight's going to knock this guy out, he's got to knock him out early.
Of course, McKnight, he's in the green shorts with the white stripe. Ed Donaldson, he's in the blue with the white.
You know, I got to put in a word for the McKnight corner. And I mean, one of the real great trainers in the game, the veteran Luther Burgess from the Kronk Gym. This is his 2nd fight with Keith McKnight. Keith did train up in Detroit at the Kronk for this fight. And I'll tell you, Luther adds a lot to the package. I mean, he's an outstanding trainer, started many years ago working with Eddie Futch in Detroit. He's been around forever, you know, involved with Tommy Hearns and all the other Kronk fighters. You know, nobody knows more than Luther Burgess.
And I agree with you 100%. I had the pleasure of having him sit in one time in Anthony Hembrick's corner and really getting Hembrick through a particularly tough fight, and never really got the credit he deserved. Was sort of a low-profile man in the Kronk Gym. As we're about halfway gone in round number 1, we're scheduled for 10. Referee Eddie Johnson slaps the fighters apart. Ed Donaldson, former Marine, had a little bit better luck in the Marines, I would say, though, than our friend Riddick Bowe, who retired today.
And got a very nice job at HBO. I mean, I think he's going to do very good work there. He's in, you know, sort of an outreach program. He's going to travel around and do a lot of public relations work, a lot of charity work, and, you know, things of that nature. You know, you can't meet a nicer guy than Riddick Bowe. I mean, he's just made for that sort of thing. And good for him for getting out at the right time.
Under a minute to go in the 1st round. McKnight showing good movement, in spite of the fact coming in at a career-high 220 pounds. He's only got 1 loss, and that was a knockout loss to Lyle McDowell. Not exactly a household name back in August of '94. Donaldson been stopped 3 times in his career by Kirk Johnson, Jimmy Thunder, and Michael Grant. A little more of a high-profile losses, if you will.
Exactly, 3 good fighters. You know, I'll tell you, Keith McKnight throw that right hand to the body. I mean, I will also look at Eddie Donaldson's big body, you know, that big stomach, and aim for that. He got in some awfully nice right hands to the body.
Donaldson almost out of action for a year.
McKnight told me he was going to double that jab. So far, he hasn't doubled. It's 1 at a time. He said it was always going to be bam, bam, and so far, 1 jab. I guess that's the extra weight.
Working on the face of Ed Donaldson. We listen in on Donaldson's corner. And we're going to take a look at a tail of the tape, how these fighters match up. Keith McKnight coming in at 6'6", 3-inch height advantage over Ed Donaldson. Of course, Donaldson has that big 30 pounds over for McKnight. Nice 2-inch reach advantage for McKnight. We'll see if he can take advantage of it, Harold, as you mentioned. And, of course, Donaldson, 38 years of age to McKnight's 25.
Eddie Johnson just called Eddie Mad Dog Johnson, as he's affectionately known, called timeout so that Luther Burgess could clean up the water in Keith McKnight's corner. That's awful slippery when they leave that water in there, and really could cause a bad injury.
Good call by Eddie Johnson. Not wanting any problems in that corner as we begin round number 2. We're scheduled for 10. Fairly slow round for McKnight, as you mentioned. He had told you to be looking for the double jab, but there he seems to bring the right over the top. Now he seems to be doubling on Harold, getting a little more aggressive here, feeling
I get the impression that's what Luther told him in the corner. Go to the body first and bring the right hand over the top. In other words, bring his hands down with the body shot and then whack him over the top, because he's a lot taller. And that's what he did. You know, first we saw him jab to the body, then there another jab you just saw, and in between you saw a hook to the body, then a right hand.
We mentioned in our open, interesting yardstick for Keith McKnight, certainly moving up in level of competition. Donaldson been the distance with Larry Holmes as recently as September of '95. Went the distance with Alex Garcia back in '94 when that meant something. On the other side of the coin has been knocked out by Grant and Thunder, and if McKnight is going to be in competition with those sort of young heavyweights, it's going to be interesting to see what he does with Ed Donaldson.
Yeah, certainly a different type of fighter, Keith McKnight. You know, he's not Jimmy Thunder and he's not Michael Grant. He's not the real big one-punch knockout, you know, type of fighter that both Thunder and Michael Grant are. But, you know, in other words, he seems to have more boxing skills, but he's got quick hands, real good size, and a lot of boxing smarts, and a real good corner. I mean, there he goes down to the body again, and sure as the devil, true to form. And he
and he drops a nice left hook followed by a right. Set up by the body attack, and he got Donaldson napping, and he's really towing away now. Only halfway gone in round number 2. Plenty of time. Eddie Johnson separates the fighters. Let's see if McKnight can take advantage of a momentarily hurt Ed Donaldson.
You know, he uses that fake to go down to the body, you know, to bring Donaldson's hands down. And he wants to whack him on the jaw.
And it worked nicely, just as you had mentioned, Harold, that he had gone downstairs to the body with a nice left jab. He came upstairs and caught Donaldson a little bit worried about that 250-pound career-high frame getting hit downstairs.
Yeah, certainly this is what, you know, well prepared. This is what a good trainer like Luther Burgess will do for you. You know, Keith McKnight's coming to this fight really with a game plan, very well prepared. Got good snap in the jab, a hard right hand, you know, and a heck of a good left hook.
Donaldson taking the fight on somewhat short notice. Original opponent cited for McKnight was Derek Banks, which would have been a very tough fight as well. But right now, McKnight showing good work here with Ed Donaldson. 20 seconds to go in round number 2. We're scheduled for 10 on Heavyweight Explosion.
It looks like Ed Donaldson going to survive the round.
McKnight showing some good poise here, not going crazy, even though we had Donaldson hurt. And even though he's got 20 knockouts in his 29 wins, content to sit here for another round as we end round number 2. Luther Burgess in the corner with Keith McKnight. And a move like that, Harold, just going to a man of experience, taking some time to go up the crank, can really be a turning point in a young fighter's career.
Oh, without question, very good move.
Take a look at action here from round number 2, and it was first so that uppercut to the body, right uppercut followed by that left hook. 4 pretty good shots, not able to put Donaldson down.
He changed up. In other words, instead of leading with the left to the body, he went with a right hand to the body and then brought the left hook upstairs, and that's what he staggered him with.
Impressive combination. Round number 3, and this time Eddie Johnson Getting the people in Ed Donaldson's corner to wipe up the water.
Oh, sure. Prevent an injury by doing that. Incidentally, what I didn't mention was the other people in McKnight's corner, his longtime manager, Kerry Pharr, who used to train him, and one of the best cut men in the game, Al Gavin. So Tim McKnight's come into this fight well prepared. Terrific corner. Now let's see if he can hold off Donaldson, who's known to pick up the action in round 3.
And good to see Al Gavin back in action.
Oh, he's the best, I tell you. You know, worked with such world champions as Lennox Lewis, Kevin Kelly, you know, many, many world champions over the years. One of the few people I know who's been a boxing longer than me.
Very good second round for Keith McKnight. Didn't put Donaldson down, but certainly had him hurt. Dropped a right into the body, followed by a left hook upstairs. Somewhat of an unusual combination. Don't see a lot of heavyweights go to the body first, certainly with a right, followed by a left hook.
You know, he's very agile for a heavyweight. I love the way he keeps his feet. You know, goes from side to side. When Donaldson charges him, he backs up, gets out of the way. Very, very good footwork. I mean, this kid's got skills.
Listham is 6'6", which makes you think, in spite of the fact that he, you know, came in today at a career high 220, his body can handle that kind of weight at 6'6".
Arnie, you know, to fight heavyweights in today's game, in today's world, especially in the past 10 years, you have to be a little bit heavier. Let's face reality. There's just too many Riddick Bowe's, Lennox Lewis's, you know, the real big heavyweights. Tim Witherspoon's out there. And if you're under 220, it makes it awfully difficult. I mean, it just goes to show, you know, how great Mike Tyson was, because, I mean, if he can handle a guy that's 250 pounds, you got to be great, you know. And I guess a few extra pounds certainly is not hurting Tim McKnight. I mean, here he's taking on a 250-pounder and banging him around. He's doing the same thing in the 3rd round as he did in rounds 1 and 2.
Interestingly enough, McKnight and Donaldson both started their pro career within 30 days of each other back in June and May of 1992. Thing was, Donaldson was 34 years of age at the time, and of course McKnight was only 21. Donaldson's only had 17 pro fights, came in this fight 11-6, 9 knockouts. However, has been stopped 3 times. McKnight, as we mentioned, 29-1, 20 wins by way of KO. Very good punching power. But let's, again, use as a barometer, yardstick, call it what you will. How well he does today against Donaldson will be a good source of comparison. How he'll do against the other up-and-coming heavyweights in the division as we're coming on the 32nd mark in round number 3.
Honey, I like that long left jab, and did you see the footwork? Went to his right, got out of the way of Donaldson's left jab, and he moves in beautifully with a left jab to the body. Just keeps working Donaldson's body. He knows Donaldson's, you know, heavy, a little bit winded, and he's working that body beautifully.
To the end of round number 3, I'm looking for what might be a weak point in McKnight.
That's his longtime manager and trainer, Eddie Surratt, working in front of Ed Donaldson, along with Jimmy Waldrop, who you previously mentioned.
Donaldson breathing very heavy right now. In his first start of 1997, only had 1 fight in 1996 when he got stopped in 3 rounds by up-and-coming heavyweight Michael Grant. Prior to that, 2 fights in 95, 1 10-round win over Michael Faulkner and a 10-round loss to the former heavyweight champion of the world, Larry Holmes. Round number 4, and again, this is becoming a habit for Eddie Johnson. He's doing the housekeeping there, making sure that every corner is taken care of. And
that's right. He's
and as
going
we
back
begin round number 4, Harold, how do you see it right now?
Well, so far I got enough fingers and toes. 3 rounds to nothing, 30-27. Keith McKnight. There's no question he's winning this fight with that beautiful left jab, working the body. He hurt Donaldson in the first round, but it wasn't a 10-8 round. So I got it 3-0 McKnight. I think he's doing a nice job boxing. And like you say, let's see if he can pick up the pace and possibly look to finish Eddie Donaldson, or if he's just going to be patient and look to get him into the late rounds and not get hurt.
And speaking of the late rounds, what's interesting about McKnight He's had 30 professional fights, 20 knockouts, but he has been 10 rounds or more 3 times in his career. But interestingly enough, he went 12 rounds in only his 10th pro fight, beating David Quinn in a 12-round decision.
Yeah, just goes to show he's got good stamina. But I'll tell you, I like that footwork. Boy, he gets out of harm's way beautifully. I mean, for heavyweight, he really moves like a welterweight. Guy 6'6" like that, very, very nice footwork.
Along those same lines, Donaldson's been 10 rounds or more, only 10 rounds actually, 3 times in his career, losing 2 out of 3. As we had mentioned, 1 time to Alex Garcia, Larry Holmes, and the 1 win coming against Michael Faulkner. So both fighters can go to distance.
I was going to say, doesn't that show a lot that he went 10 rounds with Larry Holmes and with Alex Garcia? I mean, two really good fighters and you know, 2 real bangers. And if Donaldson went 10 rounds with those guys, he certainly could probably go 10 rounds with Keith McKnight. And I'll tell you, one thing I can tell you for sure, the 10 rounds with Mike Faulkner must have been a very, very slow fight.
Well, what's got to be disappointing for Donaldson is he goes the distance with Larry Holmes and then he doesn't fight again for almost a year. Yeah. And that's where the shame comes in, especially at his age with a lot of rust going on.
His manager said to me he goes to work every day on the Mobile, Alabama police force.
Minute to go in round number 4. We're scheduled for 10. No knockdowns thus far in the fight. Keith McKnight, he's in the green shorts with the white stripe. Ed Donaldson, former Marine, in the blue with the white stripe. 13-year age difference between the 2 fighters. Of course, McKnight the younger at 25.
You know, Andy,
nice jab.
Why didn't it dawn on me to ask Ed Donaldson how far along they are in the James Hughes case?
They still don't have any clue on that, huh?
You know, I don't know. I know it's you remember Jerry Tillman. He was the one that was working on the case, as I recall.
Of course, we're talking about Jesse James Hughes, former fighter, found murdered 2 weeks after a loss. Who did he just had that loss against?
Well, you know, you just threw me a curveball and I hit a blank.
Gee, I thought that would be a layup for you.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, we'll have to call our Crackerjack stat department for the answer to that one.
Would you say that Keith McKnight ran and jabbed his way to another 10-9 rounds?
I would say that that's definitely the case, but at the same time, I'm sort of wondering, with the success that he's had, and he had in the 2nd round, hurting Ed Donaldson, that he hasn't jumped on him more in the last 2 rounds. Harold seems to be a little more passive.
We're going to see on the replay. He holds that glove out, pushes him up. Now that's illegal. That's healing an opponent. You can't do that. Under the rules, you have to keep the glove closed. But hey, listen, you get away with what you can get away with.
He doesn't even have any laces. You know, Fritzy Zivic used to do it, but he had some laces when he would paw you like that.
That's right.
So we begin round number 5 of a scheduled 10 rounder. We were talking between rounds and sort of wondering why McKnight has been less aggressive.
Did you see him change up and open around with a hard left hook? I mean, he came flying in with that Floyd Patterson flying in left hook and nailed Ed Donaldson, the opening punch in the round. Now he goes back to the body. Very, very smart. I tell you, Keith McKnight impresses me, you know, with his spots in the ring. He really does. He's got nice ring generalship, keeps moving. He hardly ever gets hit. Uses his jab, sets up the right angles, but the only thing is that he doesn't look to step in and get this guy out of there.
Well, one of the things that he did very successful in the 2nd round, Harold, when he had Ed Donaldson hurt, he went to the body first. Worked very well for him. He threw that right to the body, came back with the left hook, and caught Donaldson napping. He hasn't gone to the body. He's abandoned the body attack.
Well, you know what? We talked about the caliber of opposition before. We know he has 20 knockouts, yet he really doesn't show much as, you know, as far as being a power puncher. And like you say, you know, he had him hurt, but he didn't look to step in and get him out. You know, he just doesn't seem to have that 1-punch knockout, despite the 20 wins, which, you know, may have been against lesser caliber of opposition when he was first learning on the way up. But this is a kid that's been boxing since he's 17 years old in Tennessee. He lives outside of the music capital of the world, and now he's got Donaldson hurt again.
Nice left-right combination. McKnight, though, takes a step backwards and is content to let Donaldson off the hook for the moment. And again, Donaldson stopped 3 times in his career, and this is going to be the yardstick for McKnight. Kirk Johnson stopped Donaldson in 5, Jimmy Thunder in 2, Michael Grant in 3.
You've just named some awfully good fighters in the world today. Some of the best heavyweights in the world.
Nevertheless, though, for McKnight to move up, you know, I don't think it's unfair to compare him to Michael Grant.
No, I don't think he's ready for Michael Grant yet. But, you know, hey, this is a kid on the way up. And, you know, he's going to get there with the kind of smarts that he's showing us so far. All he's got to do is develop a little more power. I mean, that's the only thing I think he lacks.
Began his pro career back in June of '92 with a 2-round knockout of Roy Bedwell. Was a cruiserweight then, weighed 192 pounds. Got down as low as 188 in his pro career as recently as June of '93. He's gradually moved up to heavyweight, grown into a heavyweight. He's only 25 years of age. Weighs 220 pounds today, and a nice right-hand lead by McKnight. Backs up Donaldson. He seems tentative, though, to want to move in and finish Donaldson.
Right. Do you see the way he bobbed and weaved? You know, in other words, he was looking for McKnight to fire back with a right hand, so he bobbed and weaved, and McKnight didn't get the punch off. So, in other words, he is very defensive-minded. That's why he's hardly gotten hit in 5 rounds so far.
15 seconds to go in round number 5. It's scheduled for 10 on Heavyweight Explosion. Of course, coming up, our main event, James Waring and Alex Stewart. Arnie Tokyo Rosenthal along with Harold Letterman as we come to the end of the 5th round. Go back to the corner here with Keith McKnight and be curious to see Luther Burgess is going to light a fire underneath him.
You think he's going to take out a telephone?
I don't think Keith has any kids. Can't say that his kids are on the phone.
Oh my goodness.
Luther not known for theatrics like that. Of course, we're referring to Teddy Atlas in the Michael Moore Vaughn Bean fight. When we take a look at action here from round number 5, there's that nice left-right combination that hurt Donaldson earlier in the round. And then McKnight trying to get something happening there, and there's where a body attack might have worked nicely for him, Harold.
Absolutely.
He stayed upstairs.
But he stepped back. In other words, he was looking for Donaldson to fire back, and he stepped back. Now let's see if he comes in with a punch to start the round. No, not this time. I think Donaldson was looking for it. When he came out for round 5, he came flying in with a left hook to the body. This time he was a little bit more cautious.
And
Donaldson could nail him.
As we begin the second half of the fight, Harold Letterman, how do you have it scored?
5 rounds to nothing, 50-45. Keith McKnight. I mean, there's no question. I think he's just jabbing his way. Beautiful ring generalship, and he's winning this fight without that. I think Ed Donaldson hasn't gotten off the schneid yet, so far it's all Keith McKnight. Donaldson's going to have to pick up the pace if he expects to win this fight, unless he figures that McKnight's going to fire badly and he can knock him out in the late rounds. You got to remember, Ed Donaldson still 30 pounds heavy, means a lot. Remember, you know, George Foreman wearing down Lou Savaris in the late rounds, and you know, when you fight these guys that are much bigger than you, these things happen.
I see the fight the same way.
I always said you were a terrific judge, Arnie.
However, the last time that Donaldson knocked anybody out was back in August of '94. John Edwards stopped him in 1 round. Has lost his last 4 out of 5 since then.
You think he ever locked up Kenny Stabler? We got 2 quick questions for him so far.
I still want to know who beat Jesse James Hughes.
Would it be? There wasn't Adrian Stone.
Halfway gone in round number 6. McKnight starting to go back downstairs again to the body. That's what he's going to need to do if he's going to bring Ed Donaldson's hands down. He did it effectively in round number 2.
Arnie, you think you might give out your cellular phone number? People could call in if they know who beat Jesse James Hughes in his last fight. Tim McKnight's still working the body beautifully. Goes upstairs, downstairs.
Oh, and a left-right combination. Catches Donald off, and Donaldson holding on.
Probably on Keith McKnight.
Donaldson starting to hold on a lot now as Eddie Johnson breaking the fighters apart.
What's really got me is he's starting to blink a lot, as if something has gotten in his eyes or his eyes are bothering him. They're swollen. Both of the eyes are swollen. I think the left eye is swollen a little bit more than the right. But Eddie Johnson certainly has a lot of swelling around both eyes from that jab.
And a good-looking jab it is from Keith McKnight. Now the question is, can he put the right hand behind it and put Eddie Donaldson away? Nice left right. Donaldson's starting to look very tired to me, Harold.
Without question. Sure, he's huffing and puffing. Look, he's overweight. It's a year away.
And there's the body shot, and that's what he needs to do as we end round number 6. As we were momentarily in the corner there with Ed Donaldson, I saw him wincing and wondering what is the situation with his eyes. It almost looks like there is something in there. They have some sort of a concern going on in there, Harold.
Oh, yeah. There's no question he's been blinking, wincing. You know, something's bothering him. There's absolutely no question. I think Jim Waldrop's trying to tell him to pick up the pace a bit. He's got to get this guy out. He's behind. One thing about Jimmy Waldrop, smart boxing man.
Round number 7, and some concern in the corner of Ed Donaldson about whether there's some foreign substance in his eye. Been blinking a lot. Plus, he's got a lot of swelling, and a right-hand lead from Keith McKnight didn't help his case any. And another right followed up, and Donaldson holding on again. Referee Eddie Johnson separates the fighters, and again, a lot of blinking on the part of Ed Donaldson.
Honey, you just can't miss it. It's true. I don't know if it's from eating those right hands or if it's from the jab or possibly, you know, what happens to a lot of fighters is they get that Vaseline in the eye. It's not only their Vaseline, but the opponent's Vaseline sometimes. You know, you can't use anything in the corner except water and Vaseline under the rules. You know, that's the reason why you can't use liniment, because if you use liniment, sure as the devil, somebody will get it in the eye. So the only thing allowed in virtually all parts of the world are water and Vaseline. I mean, other than the cut stuff, you know, thrombin, Avitine, things like that. But that's it.
Donaldson offering very little offense right now, but McKnight not really taking advantage of it as we got a minute gone by in round number 7 of the scheduled 10 round. That's McKnight. He's in the green shorts with the white stripe. Ed Donaldson, he's in the blue with the white stripe. No knockdowns thus far in the fight. Donaldson been hurt a couple of times, most notably back in round number 2. And there's a nice body shot by McKnight. Follows it up with another body shot, and that's what he needs to do. He's got to bring Donaldson's hands down, but then he takes these steps back and sort of admires his work, which a lot of young fighters do, Harold.
Fighting a very cautious fight. He knows Donaldson's 30 pounds heavier and dangerous, and he just doesn't want to get nailed. Eddie Johnson's taking a long, hard look at Ed Donaldson. I mean, Eddie Johnson is a gym owner, long-time referee, long-time trainer. He knows the game inside and out. He knows when a fight is hurt, and he's watching Ed Donaldson very, very, very carefully.
Well, Donaldson's certainly looking this round like he's in the survival mode, not offering much offense whatsoever. Now seems to come alive here as we're coming on the 1 minute mark in round number 7.
Yeah. He's fighting like a fighter who's taking an awful beating to the body, and he's very, very tired. He can hardly lift his arms to get a shot off. I mean, he's thrown so few punches in round number 7. It's just terrible. It really is.
McKnight starting to sense it too, getting most aggressive he's been since round number 3.
Still leaning in with that jab to the body. Boy, he's got a real talent to lean in with that jab to the body and not get hit. I mean, remember, he's 6'6", and you know, when he leans in with that jab, you could nail him with a counter right hand, but Donaldson hasn't been able to get it off. Donaldson sees the jab coming. You figure he'd shoot that right hand.
Well, Donaldson looking very slow. He's only had 3 rounds in the last 2 years, and that was the 3 rounds he had against Michael Grant, where he got stopped in 3. And being 38 years of age, coming in at a career high 250 pounds. I think there's reason for a slowness.
You got to remember the angle Michael Grant hits you from. I mean, you know, he comes down with them punches because he's 6'7".
Nice uppercut landed by Keith McKnight as we come to the end of round number 7. But Donaldson's still in there as he finishes strong. McKnight seems to go to the body a little bit more finally again in this round, Harold, as we take a look at action from round number 7. That was that nice left, and I think he follows it with another left to the body, and then he takes those steps back.
Exactly. It's hard to understand. It's a double left hook that he throws. It's really nice.
I thought it's interesting watching the replay. I thought that uppercut had landed, and it didn't. It just glanced off Donaldson.
Now you know why it's difficult to be a boxing judge.
Round number 8, and it's been all Keith McKnight thus far. Harold, I see it as a shutout through 7. You've got it the same way.
Absolutely agree with you. 70-63, 7 rounds to nothing. Keith McKnight. There's no question. He's just tapping his way to a decision so far. Let's see if he can stop him in the last 3, or if Donald can come alive and possibly do some damage. It's going to be interesting.
Donald started to come alive there, and I saw McKnight in a place he hadn't been yet on this fight, and that was on the ropes. And a nice shot landed, and it seems like whatever was wrong with Donald's eyes, he's not blinking as much now. And but he dropped that right hand and was open for that left hook, and McKnight missed it just by a fraction.
Yeah, without question. I think Eddie Donaldson didn't see that left hook coming, that's for sure. Eddie's just got to pick up the pace somewhat. I mean, he stands no chance unless he opens up. You know, you see that this ring has got seams in it, and maybe Keith McKnight was bothered by it because he looked down at the ring.
Something bothered his footing there for a second, but not a good move to make. He was lucky that Donaldson was about 2 feet away from him when he did that.
Exactly. Keith McKnight fighting a very defensive fight. I mean, without question, he's watching us. He don't get knocked out. He knows he's way ahead. Probably knows he's won every round, so he's doing what he has to and then getting out of there. When's the last time you saw a clinch?
Halfway gone in round number 8. I would still think, though, for McKnight to really feel good about this fight, is he's got to put Donaldson out. And I think Donaldson, in spite of the fact that he's got 9 knockouts in his 11 wins, isn't much of a KO threat. But you mentioned, Harold, that he might be thinking about, gee, this guy's got 30 pounds. I mean, that's like, you know, another quarter of a person or something.
Exactly. He has to be thinking about that. But boy, I'll tell you, Keith McKnight's got some real skills. I mean, he goes to the body as well as any heavyweight. You know, you'll see. He comes in with left hooks. He leans in with that jab. You know, it's amazing that he doesn't drop Donaldson. For all that body work, these things. Unbelievable the way he leans in and he gets away with it every time.
Nice hook off the jab. Drop zone. Nice right uppercut. Finally lands.
I mean, not only that, he doubled the left hook. I mean, you don't see many heavyweights can do that. He puts 2 left hooks together before he pulls his arm back. Talking about Keith McKnight.
Donaldson starting to throw caution to the wind. He's throwing some shots in there. McKnight counterpunching nicely. Under 30 seconds to go in round number 8. Now going downstairs again.
You know, it's very interesting. Eddie Donaldson stalked him and then covered up. I mean, he didn't punch. Covered up so he wouldn't get hit.
McKnight not taking advantage, though, of those wide telegraphic punches, though, from Donaldson. Those are the punches that he should be making Donaldson pay for. As we come to the end of round number 8, we're scheduled for 10. Another good round from McKnight, but Donaldson still standing as he pins him on the ropes at the end of the round. In there with his young heavyweight. And Luther's got to be having fun working with a kid like this.
Oh, I'm sure he is. He really is excited about having a new heavyweight in the gym, you know, and especially, you know, a kid that's only lost 1 fight.
Donaldson having trouble breathing there as we take a look at action from round number 8. There's that left hook, and there's that second left hook, followed by a right in one of the few clinches that we've seen Donaldson go in throughout the fight.
Two more to go.
And as we have 2 more to go, Harold Letterman, how do you see it?
Well, still the same, to tell you the truth. I got it 8 rounds to nothing, which turns out to be 80-72 in favor of Keith McKnight. I think he's still pitching a shutout. I mean, I don't think there's anything close to a 10-8 round, to tell you the truth. I mean, it's all 10-9 rounds because Donaldson really hasn't been that far gone or, close to going down or anything like that. He's been firing back in every single round, even when he's getting hurt. So, you have to say Keith McKnight is winning these rounds by a 1-point margin, certainly not a 2. So, not a tough fight to score.
And that's
but
Keith
we've been fooled before.
Yep, well, that's Keith McKnight. He's in the green shorts with the white stripe. Ed Donaldson, he's in the blue with the white. As Harold mentioned, no knockdowns thus far in the fight. And I think the closest that Donaldson's come to being hurt or maybe going down was way back in round number 2.
I agree with you. It really looked like he was hurt in round number 2. And as you called it, Keith McKnight stepped back.
So we got a minute gone by here in round number 9. Nice right-hand lead lands by McKnight. And again, takes a couple of steps backwards. Reminds me of a fighter of mine named Paul Baden, and we always talk to him. He likes to paint the picture and then admire his work, and has a habit of letting guys off the hook.
And without question, Tim's let him off the hook a couple of times where he could have jumped on him.
Why do you want to call him Tim?
That's right, Keith. You're right. Caught me again.
Who is Tim McKnight? There is a Tim McKnight. I know a Tim McKnight. Halfway gone in round number 9. Do you think at this point, if that McKnight is going to be content? Hey, I'm up 8 rounds to zip. I'm going to cruise home now. This guy doesn't want to go away tonight.
Arnie, it's just, really, this is probably his television debut. He really should.
Oh, and just as we say that, left, right, and he's got Donaldson hurt. Donaldson holding on. Let's see if McKnight goes in this time and tries to take advantage. Instead, he takes the step back.
When you have people seeing you all over the world, you really want to make an impressive showing. Now he's got Donaldson tired, softened up. He really should go for the kill. Look for the sensational ending.
And he had him hurt again. One more time, lets him off the hook. Donaldson just bouncing off the ropes right now. Might like a nice place to lay down. McKnight going downstairs. Just about 30 seconds to go in the round.
I don't think he's looking for a place to lay down. 10 years in the Marines, a working policeman in Mobile, Alabama. No, there's no quitting Ed Donaldson, but the problem is he just doesn't have the skills and he's rusty. And maybe not in the best of shape. Keith McKnight giving him a beating.
All good points. So come near the end of round number 9. Keith McKnight, as we had mentioned, he's been 10 rounds or more 3 times in his career, and he's about to go into the 10th round for the 4th time, as is Ed Donaldson. Well, as we go back to the corner with Ed Donaldson, Harold, I think the real question at this point is this corner going to say, hey, just go out and survive for another 3 minutes, or you need a knockout to win, and let's see if you can take this kid out of his game.
Oh, no, knowing Jimmy Waldrop as well as I know him, he's telling this kid, look, you're losing, go out and try and whack him out. But the question is, how do you motivate Ed Donaldson? I mean, we've been through the telephone already. What else do you do?
We take a look at the beginning of round number 9, probably the second time in the fight that McKnight had Donaldson hurt and let him off the hook, and there's that big right hand over the top. He's going to work him back into the corner, and then they'll go into a clinch. And after Eddie Johnson broke him from this clinch, nothing happened again, and we take a look at from the other angle. Again, nice right hand lead over the top as we begin the 10th and final round. Keith McKnight, Ed Donaldson. That's McKnight in the white, green shorts, white stripe. Donaldson blue with the white. No knockdowns thus far in the fight. And Harold, shutout from McKnight.
Oh, absolutely. I believe so. 90-81, 9 rounds to nothing. Keith McKnight. It's funny. Keith McKnight went out to try and touch gloves, and Ed Donaldson didn't want to. There's no rule that says you have to touch gloves at the start of the last round. Ed Donaldson just backed away, figured, hey, I ain't going to get hit. If you ever listen to Butterbean, he always says, if I get you in the corner, you don't get out. Keith McKnight gets Ed Donaldson in the corner and then backs up and lets him out.
He's been doing that all fight from the second round on when he's had him hurt. Yeah. And the question is McKnight going to be content at this point to cruise in round number 10 and just take a unanimous decision? Or would he like to still get Donaldson out there? There's no indication to me that McKnight wanted a knockout in this fight. Now, I'm not saying that he doesn't want one, but you follow where I'm coming from here. he would have him hurt, content to step back, get the 10 rounds worth of work, and didn't seem intent on having to put Ed Donaldson away.
Exactly. You know, the pattern in this fight, you know, was started in the first round, and it just followed the pattern since. It's gone the same way. Keith McKnight leaning in with those real good shots to the body. He'll then bring it up to the head. He hurt Eddie Donaldson a couple of times, but he's never shown that fire, that real desire to go in there and whack him out. You know, close the show, finish him off, look real impressive on television for people throughout the world. You know, it's surprising because Keith is a good fighter, has a good record. He's young, he's tall, got good skills, but you know, he's got to show, he's got to show some ability. He's got to show the fans, hey, I'm an exciting fighter to pay to see, because if he doesn't, nobody's going to pay to see him. So very, very important that, he goes in and tries to make an impression on the fans.
A minute to go in a 10th and final round, and of course, coming up, our main event, former cruiserweight champion of the world, James Waring, now campaigning at heavyweight against heavyweight contender Alex Stewart. It's going to be a terrific matchup. Right now, Keith McKnight looking to improve to 30-1. Good body attack, and again, it's body attack that's been...
This time he's not stepping back. He's looking to close it.
And the question is, will Eddie Johnson let the fight go on with 35 seconds to go in the 10th and final round if Donaldson gets hurt?
Eddie Donaldson rode him all the way across the ring from one corner to the other.
Well, he figured that would kill 10 seconds alone as we got 20 to go in the 10th and final round.
He was right.
McKnight one more time lets Donaldson off the hook, takes that step back, content to pop that jab in there, and it's been a very pretty jab. We've got to give him that, along with some very good lateral motion and good body attacks, but just seems to let his man off the hook, and again he rocks Donaldson as we end the fight. And just to finalize the scoring, Harold,
100 to 90, 10 rounds to nothing, Keith McKnight.
And I see it the same way as the fighters embrace McKnight's corner. Very happy with the step up and the level of competition. Of course, our scoring unofficial, but it looks like Keith McKnight will get his 30th win. Will not get, obviously, his 21st knockout. Ed Donaldson more than likely will drop down to 11-7. But we take a look again here at action in round number 10. Another good round for McKnight. McKnight managed to one more time back Ed Donaldson up into a corner, hurt him, nice left over the top, followed with a nice body attack, and again coming upstairs, good four-punch, and there you see, as Harold and I discussed throughout the fight, took a couple of steps backwards and let Donaldson off the hook. Almost like the competition that he's had previously in his career might have fallen forward, as if he was looking for the fighter to come and tip towards him. However, Ed Donaldson, much better chin, in spite of the fact that he's been stopped 3 times. He was stopped by the likes of Kirk Johnson, Jimmy Thunder, and Michael Grant. And there's Keith McKnight, now going 10 rounds or more for the 4th time in his career. Nevertheless, very happy with his performance. Luther Burgess, his new trainer, out of the Kronk gym, also happy, and coming in at a career high 220 pounds, and seems to have grown very nicely into a heavyweight, although his pro career started back down as a cruiser, got down as low as 187 pounds back in 1992. But again, he's only 25 years of age, 6'6", a lot of room to grow. And it'll be interesting to see, as we mentioned earlier, though, had he been able to take out Ed Donaldson, you could compare him to the likes of Grant, Thunder, or Kirk Johnson, but wasn't taking him out today. So nice step up, but I'll be curious to see what he has to say to Harold Letterman in our post-fight interview. But we're going to go up right now to our ring announcer, Dennis Miller, with our official decision.
Boxing fans, here is the decision of the judges. Judge Barbara Perez scores the fight 99-91. John Riley scores the fight 100 to 90. And George Hill, the final judge, scores the fight 99 to 90. All in favor by unanimous decision, Keith McKnight.